Here is a simple example using an input file. So I'm going to show you error checking with an if statement. Then I'm going to incorporate a try-catch statement. So here you can see I've declared an input file. I open the input file, friends.txt, and here you can see the contents of that file. If it doesn't exist, I'll get an error message. Otherwise, it'll output reading data from the file. Well, it's not the end of file. It just reads in a name and outputs the name and closes it. So let's run it as is. Okay, Sue, Bill, and Bob, and that's what it does. Now, if I come up here and change this to a different file name that doesn't exist, here's what'll happen. Okay, your input file does not exist. Now, that's perfectly acceptable. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you an alternative way in implementing that with a try-catch statement. Okay, so here I'm going to create my try block, and I'm going to open up my input file. Okay. And I'll have if this, I'm just going to throw an exception. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't think I need that either. There we go. Okay, so there's my try block. And then here I'll have my catch block. You know, I can call this whatever I want. And here this will just say see out this message. I'm going to put an endl there too. I'm going to put a system pause here just so you can see the message. And I'm also going to put an exit -1 in here. You know, you don't always have to do this. I'll show you an alternative. But if there is a problem, if I don't have the exit -1, it's going to come down and execute the rest of the program. And I don't want that to happen. So here I'm going to run this. And keep in mind it has, you know, friends.txt, so it should work. And then I'm going to change my input file here. And then I'm going to run it, and it should give me an error message. Okay, and it does. Now, what you have to keep in mind is if you don't want to use this exit, you really could take like all of this code and put it up here in the try block. I'm just going to kind of move this down so you can see it a little bit better. So what's going to happen is if there's a problem, it'll throw this out to here, it'll catch it, it'll display it. I don't need to exit -1 here. And then the program will end. And I have a system pause at the end, so I suppose I can get rid of this as well. Okay. But if there isn't a problem, it'll just execute the rest of the program here. Okay. All right. So there's a simple example of using a try-catch statement instead of an if-else statement in an example that you've already seen.